Hello again, RoyZesch.REALTOR here with Coldwell Banker Legacy in San Angelo. Today I want to continue my series on counties. I want to talk to you about Erie County. A couple of just highlights of Erie County. There's basically 4 or 5 communities in Erie County. Mertzon's the largest, the county seat. You have Barnhart back in the southwest corner, Arden up in the northeast corner, and then Sherwood very close to Mertzon just across Spring Creek, and then Erie City. There's also a couple of interesting water features that kind of go through Erie County. First, the Spring Creek goes pretty much all the way toward Mertzon, and then kind of turns a little bit south there and continues for a few miles past there before it turns into not much of anything other than, only in wet weather. Some of the prettiest area in this neighborhood or in the Concho Valley area is right there along Spring Creek. Really pretty areas. Pools of water in it, some dams and stuff on it, some really, really pretty areas, and priced accordingly. So we've talked about, particularly in West Texas, but it happens everywhere in the world, that water features make property much more valuable. So then Dove Creek also comes out of Twin Buttes Reservoir, and then it goes out, stays south of Spring Creek, and it kind of peters out there in the southeastern corner of Erie County there. And then the Middle Concho comes out as well. Comes out of the north end of Twin Buttes, and then it goes out pretty much due west and keeps going nearly all the way out past to the county line, the western edge of Erie County. And then Rocky Creek comes off it just out west of Arden a few miles and kind of goes up there. So those are kind of the water features you get, which kind of brings some variety to it. The Middle Concho has water in it, and pools at least, even in the pretty dry parts out until, again, almost the western county line where it stops right there about the Rocker Bay in that area. So Rocky Creek is pretty much more wet weather, but there's some pools in it that hold water, and then Dove Creek does pretty good again until you get more, there's not much water in it really by the time you get into Erie County. So terrain. The terrain is generally pretty rolling. A lot of mesquite flats. There's some cedar in spots, but it's kind of tends to be patchy. And then there's some bigger ridges and stuff. If you go from Mertzon just heading west out of that direction, there tend to be some lot bigger ridges, have a lot of cedar on them, and some really high points and stuff in there. Really pretty areas that you can see a long distance from. Some of the most unique features about Erie County. One of the things you'll start to see in Erie County is you start to see a good bit of oil activity. It's more toward the western end of the county, but you see it all the way up to Mertzon. But once you get around Barnhart and back in that area and stuff, there's some pretty substantial oil activity, and therefore not much stuff for sale. There's also some very large ranches that start in Erie County, or parts of them are in Erie County. The Rocker B, I mentioned, the 7D. These are ranches that are at one time at least were hundreds of thousands of acres. And still there's big chunks of land out there. And there's some other ones that are not quite that large, but some other large ranches, especially if you get more toward the western half of Erie County. So a lot of variety in there. There's not a lot of stuff comes for sale, obviously, in that western edge, but there is sometimes stuff comes available. A lot of that stuff's been the same families for many years and held on to, particularly the minerals in some of it, but sometimes some surface is sold and stuff, but there's not a lot of options out there once you get really past Mertzon going west. Again, rolling topography. It's some areas that you get a little deeper ridges and draws, and some that it's pretty flat. The Spring Creek Basin, the Middle Concho basins are all along them. It's pretty nice and smooth, pretty along the rivers and creeks. You get some trees, some real trees around there. I mean, when you get into Mertzon, Erie County, what you start to see is the only trees you're going to see were either planted by humans or they're along the rivers and creeks. And the only real trees, and I'm not counting cedar and mesquites, which, side point there, the cedar we talk about out here is not technically a cedar. It's actually blueberry juniper. But if you talk to a rancher out here and you say blueberry juniper, they may or may not know what you mean. If you call it cedar, they know what you're talking about. Anyway, we talked a little bit about them, some brush control things. So just a little fine point there. So that's kind of an overview of Erie County. There's not a lot of change from anywhere in it. Like I say, some of those little bigger, larger ridges around Mertzon and stuff just to the west, and some cedar in there. oil country, but the majority of the county is pretty much rolling topography with mesquite flats and little, ridges and stuff, little shallow canyons, washes and whatnot through the area. So nothing major, but it's a pretty area. I mean, you're starting to get a little drier as you go west from San Angelo. You do start to get drier, and you see that even just changing from the eastern to the western edge of Erie County. There's a substantial drop off in rainfall as you go out to the west. That's something else to be aware of, depending on what your needs and desires are. But if you're looking particularly for hunting property, and you can find some places around there with some of those big ranches around, there's some pretty interesting and very good hunting property. So a little bit about Erie County today. If you got any questions, give me a call, 325-268-0775, RoyZesch.REALTOR. Thanks.